Yes, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Just one day without some sort of shit coming out from the club. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? But we're not getting that. So let's talk about Jadon Sancho then. It is definitely now my belief that Jadon Sancho will no longer be a Manchester United player come the January window. That opportunity will be taken by the player and the club to get themselves out of the situation that we're in. United are probably going to lose a significant amount of money on the sale. A significant amount of money. Now, I don't think he goes for free, but I don't think he commands anything more than 20-ish million due to the circumstances that we find ourselves in. If United get more than that, they've actually done well for once in terms of actually managing a sale. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments as well as we're going along. I'm going to get the comments up, actually. Just give me a second. So, where we're at. Apparently, Rashford, Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, and other United teammates are now urging Jadon Sancho to end the feud with Ten Hag. I think even if he did do that, I don't see a way that this now gets resolved. According to the Mirror, the problems are rumoured to be based on the disciplinary issues with Sancho rumoured to be late for multiple training sessions. It seems like once pulled up on the attitude issues, Sancho just refused to apologise and is still refusing to apologise, which is not a great spot for us to be in at all, is it? Just one sec, just getting the comments up. Sources reckon that Sancho and Ten Hag's situation has reached an impasse without any way back for the player unless he apologises to the manager. He's been exiled from all first-team facilities at the club, including the first-team dining room, and he is said to be unhappy that he is forbidden from accessing the first-team areas, but he's also refusing to apologise to Ten Hag as well. Like, this is bananas, isn't it? Like, how can you... Anyway, United are apparently ready to listen to offers in the transfer window, with Dortmund potentially interested in re-signing him. Apparently, though, there is no pressure from United about getting rid of Ten Hag. He's not being blamed in this. They understand the difficult situation around the whole club, and he remains the face of the new Manchester United, according to Romano. Now, on this with Sancho, I've seen some people saying the manager's being very stubborn, and that's something that I've seen a few times, actually. You got to remember, this is a manager that gave him months off last season to get himself sorted out, and he didn't get himself sorted out. And he's not got himself sorted out, and then we've seen the manager go public. Those, I now know that they're not the only two things that have happened in between this whole incident. The manager has tried lots and lots and lots of things. He's obviously tried the carrot. He's obviously tried the stick. The one thing he hadn't done was make all of this public. And that probably didn't get the reaction he was hoping for. It definitely got a reaction, but certainly not the one he was hoping for. And I think because of this reaction now, it could have gone the other way. Sancho's statement could have been, do you know what? I have been fucking about. I need to take this more seriously. Blah, blah, blah. So, Sancho's response wasn't that. It was to attack the manager, basically call the manager a liar, and then refuse to apologise. So, there is only one way that ends. Only one way that ends. And that is with Sancho leaving the club. I don't think he's got any opportunity to stick around now. I believe he's just deleted his social media. I think that's the second time he's done that. It feels like it's the full end of the road for him. Like I said, I know that there's other things that have happened in between the two public things that we saw. The Sancho going training elsewhere, and the public sort of dressing down that he got with the manager's explanation about why he wasn't in the squad. Sam says, watching on delay, not sure if it's been mentioned. Sancho deactivated Instagram as well. Love the content, Steve. Cheers for the super chat, but yeah, we did actually just mention that one. I mean, do you lot see any way back for this? He clearly isn't in the mood to apologise. He's clearly not in the mood to apologise. El Chundo says the comment Ten Hag made was so innocuous and hardly inaccurate. If I was on 350 grand a week, I would be sucking at the manager's toes and tucking him in at night to get back in the first team. Yep. Ronan says, I hope he's not getting paid during this period, 300k a week, to not show up to work, to realise how many people would snap his hand off to be in this position. I'll give you a little story. Baykuda says, good morning, Steve. Good morning. I'll give you a little story. So, one of my friends was at Wigan as a coach. And this is, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, but it could be a little bit longer than that, off the top of my head. Whenever Ravel Morrison was at Lazio, should we Google it? Should we have a quick Google of when that was? In the interest of accuracy. It was a good few years ago. So it was whenever he finished at Lazio, which was 2019. Yeah, 4 years ago. So before he went to Sheffield United. Yeah, bingo. So before he went to Sheffield United, he went on trial at Wigan during pre-season. Now, I don't know if that's public, that's out there, but he did. And this is Wigan, right? This is not a European giant by anyone's imagination. This is Wigan Athletic. And it was Warren Joyce was there at the time, hence why I think Wigan were in for him. He came on trial and he wasn't fit. And there's a Premier League footballer and even, Championship League One footballer, the level of fitness and sharpness that they have it's quite spectacular. The level of fitness that they've got. And Ravel was fat, actually, at the time. Certainly fat for a footballer. Maybe not for a YouTuber. But he was fat at the time. And one of the things that my mate was saying is they found out from Lazio, because of the union, the PFA, you can only fine a player 2 weeks' wages per month. So what Ravel was doing was turning up for a week's worth of training, because I think if he disappeared for the entire month, he'd probably get sacked. I think that was in the contract somehow. He would turn up for training once a month, or 1 week out of the month, even. But he would get fined for 2 weeks for not attending training. So, in Ravel's head, he works 1 week, but he gets paid for 2. And that's what he was buzzing off. Like he's gamed the system because he's getting 2 weeks' wages when he's only doing a week's worth of work. Not actually thinking, and Sancho's in a similar situation here of that, look, you might be earning whatever you're earning now, which is, looking at the way his career is probably going to go from this, might be the most he's ever going to earn. But rather than thinking about, hey, I'm a talented kid at a club that is capable of winning things, it's just on a bit of a downward spiral at the moment. If I perform here, not only will I get to play football in front of nearly 80,000 every single week, I might actually get paid more. I might get more accolades. I might get more recognition. I might win awards. I might play for my country. Like, all those sorts of things seemingly not important. And this is what I'm sort of saying, the Ravel story sort of adds up with this, is like, to all of us from the outside, we'd have done whatever it took for that wage, let alone that opportunity to play football at the highest level. Now, if I'd have said to anyone that's watching this video now, listen, I can give you a 12-month contract, you'll be part of Manchester United squad, we're going to pay you 80 quid a week, not 80 grand, 80 quid a week. The amount of people that would launch their hand up in the air and go, yeah, pick me, right? So many of us would do that. And I understand sometimes when you're doing something as a career, it can take away the unbridled joy of doing it. I get that. And money shouldn't be the only thing that motivates any player or anyone in any role, actually. There's a joy in doing a good job that you would hope people have. But for whatever reason, it's not happening with Sancho. For whatever reason, There was only Wayne Rooney could get a tune out of Ravel Morrison. I don't know. I don't know the answer, clearly. I don't know Sancho enough to know the answer. I don't know anybody enough to know whatever. Ant says sometimes a club is just too big for a player. Brian says the Jay Lings effect. And S Biscuit says attitude reminds me of Lingard. Can't exactly disagree here, can you? Heaven's Soul says I'm an overweight asthmatic. You put me on the grass at Old Trafford, I'd run until my lungs give out. So I can't fathom why someone would sack it off for 250k. Yeah, I think a lot of us probably feel exactly the same. Buffy says Jadon Sancho has it in his hands. Lost that comment. Where'd that go? Do I know what the bonus system is like at United? No, don't. No, don't. Alex says Sancho didn't say anyone's names. He just said don't believe what people say. So he said that in all caps, right? No, okay. Granted, he didn't say anybody's names, but the inference was he said I've trained well this week. The inference from the manager was that you haven't. So you've basically come out and called him a liar. Abhinav says, should ask Rooney how did he get the most out of Ravel? This is a good question. It is a good question. Bruce says, maybe why City let him go. I'm not having this revisionism. I'm not having this revisionism. Like he didn't just go and have 3 years of being very close to one of the best players in the world at Borussia Dortmund. Hence why United paid 70 odd million for him. You know what I mean? Like, let's not pretend like, oh, Pep was this visionary that wouldn't let him go. No, Pep wasn't playing youngsters. And Pep had, I think at the same time that they ended up selling Sancho, they just signed, rather than give Sancho an opportunity, who was clearly ready, by the way, he signed Ravel Morrison for 70 odd million. Matt says, I think liar is a super over dramatic reading. I don't think it is. If the manager's come out and said you didn't train, and then you come out and say I trained well, that you're calling him a liar. Someone's lying. You both can't be right, so someone's lying, right? AWB says he's acting like an entitled brat. Not trying to be rude, just honest. He should have apologised and just kept his head down and worked harder. Cap or Die says I think there are a lot of details we don't know. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of things going around locally that I don't know for a fact that they're true because I've not been there, but I trust the sources, should we say? And I think the additional information will probably come out once he moves on from United. One Skill Rap says, I've supported him through the whole period until this. Serious attitude problem. No player bigger than the club. Ryan says, have I watched the recent interview with Ronan O'Gara, Ireland in the Rugby World Cup? He mentions briefly how he manages personalities at La Rochelle. No dickheads either. No dickheads is a big thing. Yeah, I mean, we spoke about it. Have I got it up here? I don't think... Oh, hang on, yeah. So we spoke a little bit about that book, Legacy. And one of the chapters in Legacy is the no dickheads policy. Well, yeah, I got the book here. So this is a fantastic book. Someone's ripped out a page out of it. Out of my authenticity page. How the fuck's that happened? No dickheads, follow the spearhead. Let's be united, not pulling against one another. It's in the book. It's literally in the book. Where do I see Sancho going from here? I really don't know, you know. I really don't know. Actually, it says no dickheads is a dang good company policy. Do I think with all this conundrum going on with the squad, it's a blessing in disguise? No. No, I don't think it's a blessing in disguise. It might shake out the wheat from the chaff. It really might. But no, at the moment, it really isn't. I think there's so much noise around the club at the moment. It'd be so much better that it didn't. Matt says, isn't the more pertinent question to ask why didn't United's due diligence when scouting and flag all this up? I think that there might be a point to that in some aspects. In terms of that, if he was turning up regularly late for Dortmund training, that would have been something that we could have been useful to know, and maybe when the manager first speaks to the player, that's something that you start asking. Gordon says, why don't senior players be sent to the reserves anymore? Because there isn't a reserves anymore. It's an under-21s. It's not a reserves. I'd love to find this out, actually, because I don't know. When United... Hang on, let's have a look. So... I'm pretty sure. Have a look. I think in the early 90s, it was called the Pontins League, right? I know it was called the Pontins League, but I don't know. Was it just a reserves league? I'm trying to think who would know. I don't know who would know. But yeah, the reserves is no longer a reserves. I mean, maybe back in the day that it's quite often a young person's sort of thing, but at the moment it's an under-21. So United don't technically have a reserves team at the moment, and I think a reserve team is a good thing. We changed the name of our reserve team at Paddock to the Amateurs, and the reason we did that was to keep them in the top division of the Lancashire and Cheshire League, because you can't have, for their rules is you can't have a team that says reserves or 21s or development or whatever in their top league, so we called them Stretford Paddock Amateurs. It by and large is our reserve team. And the benefit of having a reserve team rather than a 21s is obviously your 21s are going to be young players. Really, your 21s should be 18, 19, coming into the team for a little bit of experience. Your reserves, the way I would like to run it is almost like a Venn diagram where I've got one circle of first team players, one circle of reserve players, and then a big overlapping bit in the middle where players a little bit of an in-betweener. And I think that those in-betweeners, like at the moment, if you looked at United, you would say the likes of Palestri, McTominay, Malacia, these guys are tweeners, right? And they should be getting minutes somewhere. That's what I think it should be. Not just the football combination. That name rings a bell, yeah. But I'm sure there was stuff called like the Lancashire League. Now, we're in the Cheshire League at the moment. I don't think they were playing our level. So where was it? Was it outside of the football pyramid? Was it its own kind of thing, a bit like Premier League 2 is? I don't know. I don't know enough about it because I was too young at the time to know what it was all about. But yeah, reserves for me, they should be playing competitive football somewhere. Now, even if they could only have, don't fuck with the league, but maybe introduce a cup competition with the reserves in non-league. You'd get a little bit of people down to go and watch some non-league. They'd probably be glad of the people through the door. And you would get to find out what some of these youngsters are really about. Now, people maybe say, all right, well, you can't have like Scott McTominay playing against Curzon Ashton and stuff like that. All right, you might have a point. So I don't know what you do. But I think reserve football is valuable, but they need competitive matches for it. I think that's what you need. Ronan says, surely if you're going to be good enough at 18, 19, you'd be in the first team. Beckham wasn't. Not everybody's the same. You have your prodigies that break through at 18, like Rooney and that, but not everybody is the same. And certainly, like, a lot of centre-halves are not the same. You know, that it takes them a long time to come through. Goalkeepers the same. Abdul says, how similar and different is this saga from the Mourinho Pogba one? Could it unfold in a similar way? I don't think it is similar, to be honest. Life O'Reilly says, sounds about Scott's level, that. Well, whether or not you want to think that's Scott's level or not, the fact is, like, he regularly captains Scotland in the national team. And, you know, he's not going to be playing Curzon Ashton's level, respectfully. Ben says, Shearer tried to dock 10% player wages if they arrived late to training, and it increased each time they were late. PFA wouldn't allow it. Any knowledge on when Sancho started to show these problems, says Abner. No, I don't know any. I don't have any knowledge on when these sort of started. Actually, it says, give me a Fletcher over a Pogba any day. Fian says, apparently Sancho has broken multiple rules, lateness, bear drinking during the game week and inconsistencies with BMI. It's not good enough, is it? If that's the case, it's not good enough. It's as simple as that. It is not good enough. You know, you have to hold yourself to a high standard. You know, okay, the pressure at Manchester United is something none of us can fathom. And I can see the requirement for the occasional blowout. But you also have to be a professional. That's the one. Ant says, I wish all this had been kept behind closed doors. We don't need to give the media twats any more ammo. No, you don't. And to be fair, I think the intention of the club for the last 8-9 months has been exactly that. Has been exactly to keep it behind closed doors, to keep it out of the limelight. And I believe that they've done it a pretty good job of that. And I think the manager putting it public, my belief is that the manager put it public as a last resort. Simple as that. Simple as that. So yeah. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys for tuning in. And I'll be back again later tonight with the review of the Palace game, obviously. Cheers for tuning in. I'll see you lot in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.